decks. And with that, I'm hearing you're ready to go. I'm going to send you guys over to BloodThunder with BioShock Infinite. Take it away.
Hello, everybody. My name is BloodThunder, or you can simply call me BT. If you're up late at night like you are tonight, a couple days ago, you may have seen me run Amnesia: The Dark Descent. But tonight, we're going to be a little less scary, a little bit more comfy. We got a long run. It's pretty cool. Joining me on commentary is my good friend Jamaican Bacon, if he wants to introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Jamaican Bacon.
Yeah, and he's going to help me kind of fill up some of these low points. We got a lot of cutscenes to watch as well. If you haven't seen our run before, there's a lot of story, and if you haven't played the game and you don't want to get spoiled, you know, be warned of that. But we're going to start a new game. Go over to easy because combat's not really a big deal in this. And timing's going to start here in just a second. Basically, once this little cutscene's out of the way. And that's the start of the run right there.
Are you afraid of
So we're getting some confirmations because we have DLC installed, which is going to give us some things later on once we get to the blue ribbon, which is way down the line. Right now, we're introducing stuff going on here. And we're going to start in a little boat ride. It's going to look a little weird. There's going to be a little water in the boat. Just because we have to lower the graphic settings here.
Standing. Not standing. Rowing. Land on it. So you expect me
It's going to freak you out. Don't worry. The water in the boat is perfectly normal. It's perfectly fine. If you're wondering story-wise what's going on, we're going to a lighthouse because we've been tasked with wiping away the debt by bringing the girl to certain people. We have two lovely people in the boat with us. We'll find out who they are later on, but they are the Lutece twins, very important figures. This boat ride is also very important. Let's see what happens, but first we need a couple things in this box. We need a nice handy-dandy pistol, because this is a shooter, and we're going to shoot some people. It's also a lovely card, Elizabeth, the girl that we need to go and rescue, or kidnap, if you want a different word for it. If you're wondering what the category of the HRH-mod means, we broke it down in the interview with Keyzeron earlier, but it's basically going to let us do a lot of really cool strats. And HRH stands for a certain gear that gives us a certain ability later on, and we'll talk all about that then. That is way down the line. First, we're going to grab this ladder, make our way up to the lighthouse.
Shall we tell him when we'll be returning?
Somebody meeting me here?
Knock on the door to get in here.
It's Booker DeWitt.
But everyone's being rude, and they're not actually here, so we're just going to run through up to the top.
Hello?
Jump over this stuff and not get stuck. So for this run, the reason we do lower the graphic settings so much and end up breaking things is because we need really high FPS for certain tricks.
Wait a minute, that card.
There's also a downside once we put in this nice code. Downside is that items just like to grab onto you and not let go. You're just gonna like get stuck on walls occasionally. So if I'm running around, I gotta be careful not to get cornered too tightly.
Yeah, the collision in this game
doing some weird stuff.
is incredibly funky in that if you have a really high FPS, the game starts to consider you as clipping. So that tends to happen a lot while you're running forward.
So Booker doesn't know, he doesn't know a lot of stuff as we come to find out. But this lighthouse isn't an ordinary lighthouse. It actually allows us to gain access to the city of Colombia, which is up there, not down below. You know, if you've played BioShock 1 and 2, you may remember Rapture. This game has basically nothing to do with Rapture. Some people love that, some people hate it.
Looks like they expect me to sit in there.
It is what it is. We're going to hop in this comfy chair here. And despite clearly seeing the restraints, Booker's surprised that they restrain him.
Make yourself ready, Pilgrim.
He's not the brightest of characters. Get locked in here.
No, God damn it!
Ascension in the count of 5.
This is always a pretty great moment.
Attention. Attention.
Ascension.
5,000 feet. 10,000 feet.
You get a little glimpse of Booker right there in the reflection. It's a pretty handsome fella.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Oh, so beautiful. Very scary place to be, though. So much in parallel to the first game, you know, you gain access to the city. One's way below the surface, one is way above the surface. Fish out of water. In a city that isn't quite what it seems. Father Comstock. He's an interesting character. All of this is perfectly safe. I'm sure OSHA has no complaints about it whatsoever. We got a couple donations. This is a good time for it because we're just kind of gaining access to the city. Not a whole lot really happening for the speedrun.
Sounds good. We have $15 from Tuxonot saying, thanks for all the entertainment. We have $50 from Oily Raincloud saying, thanks for still putting on this event during these times. It's a great cause that needs support now more than ever.
Yeah, I was gonna fix that at the load screen.
We have $25 from Maria S saying, love the runs, love the cause, hate the frames, love to all the speed friends.
Got time for a couple more.
We have
It's a very
$10
long
from
intro.
Martin151 saying, hello from Sweden. Keep up the good work. We have $100 from Treeman saying, first time as a long-time watcher donator. Great to see good runs coming out from all the runners.
Excuse me.
Yeah, this is a part where I'm gonna purposely try to stay away from the wall because these little pillars will get you stuck.
Questions to myself.
Run forward and talk to this preacher who's gonna basically allow us to access Colombia. From there we can kind of go a little bit faster than this. Still a couple more donations.
Can do. We have $100 from Omax242 saying, hey, Doctors Without Borders, catch!
I just need passage into the city.
We have $5 from Astolia saying, love me some BioShock. Got time for one more?
Yep, go for it.
We have $10 from Dragon Pasta saying, woke up at 3 a.m. to watch this awesome run with my brother. Good luck and good morning.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so the preacher, he's blind, but goes to baptize us, and we just kind of pass out.
He could
Can't
bath.
swim. Shout out to Covert Muffin, take a bath.
But this one doesn't look clean to me.
Just gonna pass out from this. Get a little flashback to this office, which is kind of connecting some of the story threads going on here.
Who's there? Who's there?
Talk about this at some point. Not now. It's not important now. So this is just a vision of what's to come. Very scary place. Actually, gotta fix this real quick. So now we're in Colombia.
Need to learn the difference between baptizing a man and drowning.
We're not still into the meat of things. We gotta
Find the landmark and figure
open
out
this
where
door
the hell I
first.
am.
First, a little skip that we get to do is right here. We don't have to wait for this bridge to come up. We do a little strafe jump here. Let's hop down. As you can see, the bridge is finally coming up right as we get to the end, which is perfect for us. Just gonna make our way straight through. BioShock Infinite, in comparison to BioShock 1 and 2, is much more linear in nature. So really, there's not a whole lot of need to explore anything, and also these people are just staring off at nothing, clapping. The parade's over there, but he just likes clapping. So like, there's not really any supplies we need to go out of our way to pick up. We're just gonna blast through the main path, take shortcuts when possible. Wait for this beautiful parade to pass by. So all of these different sections are connected either by bridges or they'll move around. So you're just kind of getting the details of the world building here. So next there is usually pretty cool casually. It's the Raffle and Fair. The fair part's cool, the raffle not so much. The fair has some mini games you can play. You can win some prizes, all that good stuff. The raffle gets a little sketchy. But we're gonna skip all that.
Telegram, Mr. DeWitt.
Yeah. This card's pointing us to the Monument Tower, which is where Elizabeth is currently.
Do not alert Comstock.
We're making our way through not downtown, but just through Colombia itself to get to the tower. And although it's a shooter, we lost our pistol initially, so we don't have any guns. And normally, when you go to the raffle, that's where you get your combat stuff. So we run through here. Also, that guy back there is my favorite NPC in the game. He's amazing. Handyman. You normally get your first vigor here, which is possession. But it's slow to pick it up, and that little sign allows us to get out of bounds back behind here. And if we jump off this corner, we can load later on into the map, skipping the entire raffle. So when it told us not to pick 77, it wasn't even useful. So we just don't go to the raffle. Normally there'd be a fight here with a fireman. We're seeing Devil's Kiss. Let's set off some fireworks because why not? That's beautiful. So we still don't have the skyhook or any of the weapons or the vigors. The game just kind of gives us the skyhook here. It's like, oh, you've made it to the blue ribbon. You must be past that part. So I mentioned at the very beginning of the run, we're using DLC, and that gives us a lot of infusions, which are upgrades. We're going to put them all into salts. Salt is used for vigors, and the more you have, the more you can use, which is awesome. We're going to pick up some money from the DLC and 2 gears. We're going to get Fleet Feet and Sugar Rush. And then we get our shield right here. So Sugar Rush is the first one we're going to talk about. If we pick up a food item or a drink, we get a 50% speed boost for 3 seconds, which is really nice because you get a run. And then our gun back. So now we have all the stuff for the run. In terms of combat, gun, we got some gears, we got some shields. Anytime I can pick up food, sometimes it's consistent, sometimes it's not where it spawns. We get a little speed boost, that's always cool. And Fleet Feet allows us to run faster when we're like strafing around. So if I need to run backwards or sideways, we move a little bit faster that way. So just looking for some snacks. Those are guaranteed right there. A nice hot dog and soda. What better for running than a hot dog and soda? A little apple right there for a boost. And this is the Fraternal Order of the Ravens, which is a pretty interesting area, but we're just gonna blast on through. Because we don't have time to deal with all these people. Pick up another infusion right here. By the end, I'm going to max out salt infusions. You don't necessarily need to do that for the run, but it's just a little nicer when you get to the later fights to have the most that you can. So at this point, we also picked up Devil's Kiss, which is our left hand is our vigor. It's basically plasmids if you played BioShock 1 and 2. You can hold them down to charge them up as a trap, or you can just let them off initially, and we'll see that come into play here in just a moment. Another little boost, and we get to see this graphic. Cutscene. So here's a crow. They kind of come into play a couple times. They like to teleport around and make it really hard to fight, but he's going to try to spawn behind us here. Hit those 2 traps and just go ahead and die. So he also dropped a vigor that we want, called Murder of Crows. But anytime you pick up of Vigor, the very first time it's presented, you get a little animation that's like 15 seconds. If you pick it up anytime after that, you don't get the animation, so we're going to get it much later on. Pick up a couple boosts here. Hopefully we get lucky, find some more. Nope.
It's also worth knowing that whenever he picks up food in the game out of like a garbage can, that's a random spawn. So sometimes you get really lucky and get a lot of speed boost, and sometimes you don't get any food at all.
Yeah, there's little bits of RNG here and there, like having money to buy upgrades later on can play a part, but for the most part, it's very minimal. We're gonna go for a trick here called cargo boosts, which, because we have to move this cargo box out of the way, we're gonna try to jump onto the skyline at the exact time it's passing. Not get it. That's a little bit of a shame, and you kind of get boosted along this this line really, really fast, and you can skip going around a long way here. It's not too big of a deal. It's not worth resetting over. Just gonna hop around there. The reason you're gonna see me shake my mouse whenever I jump to something, mainly hooks, is whenever you land, you get like a little weird landing animation, but if you happen to just freak out your mouse before you land on it, you can skip that animation entirely and jump off right away. And here's a nice elevator ride. We just kind of get stuck here, so I went ahead and modified in some photos of my cat, Thor. So as this goes up, we'll just get a look at him and his cute face, and we got time for a donation or two.
Sounds good. We have $25 from Zanime saying, "Oh boy, 3 a.m. Woke up just to watch this." We have $20 from Michael240 saying, "Here's another $20 to follow my previous $20. Can we get a train of $5, $10, $15, and $20 donations going?"
You don't know me, pal.
You got time for another?
Prophecy is my business.
We have $25 from BC Firestar saying, "First GDQ I've seen live. So happy to see so many people come together to go fast for a good cause."
And hence they are content.
The pictures of Thor are the only reason I'm here.
Yeah, so if you guys remember at HGDQ, if you watched my BioShock 1 run there, they had the famous Windows 10 blue screen Skyrim prank. You can do that with this game and many other games where you can just modify a video file, which is what's playing there. And a lot of people ask me, hey, are you going to do some sort of trolling again? And I thought about it. I had a lot of ideas, but you know what? I like looking at my cat, so we'll just do that. Makes things a little bit nicer. So we're going to kill off these fools to actually lock us from opening this door. Just kill them off real quick.
Take this thing to Monument Island.
This is our first real face-to-face meeting with Father Comstock, who is Elizabeth's father. There he is.
So I don't have to.
He's kind of the main antagonist, sending his troops against us, trying to prevent us from both reaching Elizabeth and then from taking her away. So they just burn the ship. We're gonna jump out of it real quick. It's not always faster to jump further along the line. Sometimes it is, depending on how it curves, but it's not always the case. Very minimal time save, time loss either way. So Monument Tower, this is finally the place where Elizabeth is kept. We're gonna make our way up the tower, and we'll go and meet her. We got some boost that we can do along the way. And pick up some cans of beans. Oh man, a 12-hour quarantine. Oh, I can't imagine what that's like. Being in quarantine for just 12 hours, 72 hours. Oh, it's getting crazy. Pick up some more beans along the way. There's actually a little sneaky infusion hidden back behind this desk. We'll pick that up. Oh my god, 168-hour quarantine. Oh, I bet that must be rough. This is one of many elevator rides. This game really, really loves its elevator rides.
The buttons are always in different places too.
Yeah, you can't just get used to turning to the left. If you do that, you'll miss a lot of them. So grab your snacks, grab your popcorn and your beans and your coffee. Now we get to meet the lovely Elizabeth, who just happens to be right here. Everyone in chat wave to her. She's so excited about Paris. Now she's gonna run off, and we're gonna chase after her. There's a lot of doors that must remain closed at all times in this building. Get a second cutscene. I love the drawings of Songbird back here.
Whoa!
Have time for a quick donation?
Sure.
We have $5 from Nico89 saying, $5 train for Thor the cat.
Nice.
It's got nothing to do with the job at hand.
I think Thor's, he's worth donating $5 for.
I'll say, people really seem to love Thor the cat so far.
I mean, it's easily the best part of this entire run.
Worse all the time.
I don't mean to spoil anything coming up, but the run will not get better than that. I'm sorry, chat. So now we've watched those two cutscenes, found out how much Elizabeth loves Paris. We're actually going to go and meet her. So we have to pop her head out here.
Shit.
For some reason, they built this on the outside instead of the inside. This game has a lot of things. If you really try to think about it and think about it logically, they just don't make any sense. You have to like just go out on a limb and accept it. It's like Ant-Man. If you really think about the logic behind Ant-Man, it won't make any sense. Just accept it for what it is, and you're good.
My name is DeWitt. I'm a friend. I come to get you out of
Get
here.
away!
There's an apple on this table here, which if you take it, it actually saves 2 hours. If you don't take it,
You've gotta go.
I don't know what happens then.
You don't want to be here when he gets here. Just a minute, I'm getting dressed.
There's usually a lot of little things in runs that kind of just become a part of the community. This apple's a hot contention whether you eat it or not. Some people think it cost you records. Some people always pick it up.
I say go for it.
An apple a day keeps the bad luck away. So we have this key that we brought with us. It was in that box, if you remember back at the beginning. Here's a little seam through the wall. No big deal. Just don't think about it. So that's going to get us out of the monument tower, or at least the escape sequence. Songbird is her guardian. He's kind of like a big daddy to a little sister from BioShock 1 and 2. And he's going to attack the tower, and he's going to make it shake. If you jump at just the right times, you can avoid getting staggered, and you won't get slowed down as much. So every time it staggers, you go into a little animation. If you happen to jump at the wrong time, then you just get permanently stuck at that speed. It's a bit of a gamble. Yeah, we're escaping here.
There's also an extremely rare one where you jump at the wrong time and fall through the map. And then you have to rewatch a lot of the Elizabeth stuff.
Press the button!
So Elizabeth has superpowers as well. If we just happen to stand here, we can see her use them in action, and her face is in the wall. I don't know why she never used that beforehand, but she'll grow into her powers at some point.
What am I? What am I?
You're the girl who's getting out of this tower.
So here comes Songbird. He's a cutie. This run and this game really needs an option to pet Songbird. I think that'd go a long way. That's probably why he's really upset. No one gets to ever pet him.
You get to pet them in the opposite timeline.
Making our way up these wonderful stairs. Elizabeth just teleports up here. So we'll see if we just keep running forward a lot of times. Elizabeth will just pop up. She just physically can't keep up. So right here, we're gonna reload checkpoint just to make things a little faster once we get to the top. And this is the best song in the game. It's the Bonk Bonk song. You might get why it's called the Bonk Bonk song.
It's a banger for sure.
So this is all a cutscene. We're just gonna ride around on this skyline for a bit as we try to get away from Songbird, who's just destroying everything in his path. Doesn't care what happens to Elizabeth or the tower. He just wants to be angry. So, a couple more donations. And we'll fit those in.
Sounds good. As I say right now, there's a lot of love for Thor. We have $50 from Astreg saying, "Gotta donate the cat slider. These are the true profits." We have $10 from JaneXT saying, "Donating for Thor. Cute cat." We have $10 from Mr. Bubbles saying, "Huge fan of the BioShock franchise and love watching it being sped ran. Welcome to the circus of values." And hi, Thor. We have $25.
So I mentioned when we first met Elizabeth, there's a lot of things that just don't make any sense, like how Booker always survives these big falls or how he doesn't dislocate his shoulder. If you think about it, it won't make any sense. So we survived that, and back up in this flashback in our office here. Having a nice sleep on our floor. Elizabeth is in the flashback now. That's all fine. So that's basically the intro tutorial for BioShock Infinite. Battleship Bay is where things are going to start. This animation is broken because of the change in like graphic settings and stuff. It looks a bit strange. Just kind of looks at us for a bit.
No, it's me, Elizabeth. You all right?
Where am I?
Back in the land of the living. Here, let me.
I'll be fine.
You almost drowned. You need to...
I said I'm fine.
Yeah, from this point on, Elizabeth is going to be our companion. It's not quite an escort mission. She's going to tag along, teleport around, throw some gear. She can throw health, ammo, money, guns at some point.
Okay, I won't be long. I won't be long, Mr. DeWitt.
She just leaves us on the beach. She hears some music. She's like, okay, you'll be fine here. Sure. And then at some point, we wake up here. Booker is about to do his best Batman impression.
Where is she?
Where is she? Gonna check these. No boost there.
Blue skirt? No?
Luckily, she didn't get too far at all. She's just over on the pier. We got a little boost there.
Hey, miss. Hey, Miss Elizabeth.
Hello. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, come dance with me, Mr. DeWitt.
I don't dance. Come on, let's go.
Why? What could be better than this?
How about Paris?
Paris?
So this is where we tell the lie that we're gonna take her to Paris. We're just there to free her. We have no ulterior motives. We're super trustworthy, and we completely betray her. So we're just gonna jump over there, pick up these sodas. We're gonna do a pretty cool trick in this next area. So if you played the game, you might remember the choice between the bird and the cage, where you kind of meet the Lutesses once again as they keep popping back up. We actually are going to skip that, or at least try here. So there they are. We're gonna try to get up here, first try, nice. And we just leave them, never pick it up. Everyone's just now finding out about the tower, that it was attacked and destroyed. And Elizabeth is also a master of lockpicking, so she's going to open that up for us, and we're going to boost through here. And this is the part where HRH and HRH-mod becomes important. We're going to boost through here, and we already picked up some gears in the blue ribbon, but this is the first place you're supposed to normally encounter them. So at this point in the run, how it used to be is picking that up would be a 1 in 52 drop rate of getting the Hill Runner's hat, or HRH for short. Because that's an awful grind, and you can literally be there for 20 to 30 minutes grinding it out, the community decided to allow a mod that guarantees that we'll get Hill Runner's hat at that specific point, just to make it more consistent and to really improve the competition. So that's what HRH-mod, and that's why the category is called any % HRH-mod. And you can tell the mod's active by the little tiny hat icon in the top left. It's a little hard to see, but it is there. And what that gear will do for us is anytime our shield breaks, which is the yellow bar in the top left, we will get another speed boost. So you can actually stack that with Sugar Rush from before, which is the snack boosting. And you can do some really crazy stuff with that. But first we're gonna just go ahead and start the fight. Not gonna wait around here. The options really don't matter. The end result's the same, but some of them just get out of the animations faster. Oh, okay, that guy's doing some weird stuff. And pick up our shotgun. This game has a 2-gun limit, so you can only ever have 2 weapons equipped at any one time. Right now we have the machine gun and the shotgun. That will change at some point, but right now they are the best we have. Get some supplies. Really, supplies don't matter for the most part, except for money. We want some. We don't need a ton, but there are a couple upgrades we want to buy. So these guys are going to demonstrate the HRH for me, hopefully. So yeah, that yellow glass breaking is a sign of the HRH mod kicking in. And because we did the BloodThunder skip, not picking the bird or the cage, Elizabeth never returned the boxes. So she just kind of like held on to them. And yeah, she probably shouldn't have done that.
You're a monster.
What did you think was going to happen?
Kind of a nifty thing from the skip. Going into the next era, we'll wipe it, but just seeing it in this cutscene is always great.
You are an investment, and you will not be safe until you are far away from here.
So this is where Elizabeth really realizes that we're here to kill people and get her out. She doesn't quite know our true intentions yet, but
you don't get to draw it all.
She becomes okay with the fact that we just murder people.
You're bleeding. Come here.
It's fine. Booker's a handsome man. What can you say?
What happened back there? It's not the last of it, is it?
I don't know.
There.
Time for a quick donation.
Yep, go for it.
We have $5 from Swear Joggers saying, $5 donation train for the Prophet Thor.
Nice. So now we're going into Soldier's Field, and one thing this game really likes to do, BioShock as a whole, I mean, gaming kind of does it, but the BioShock series really likes to do it, is show you the end objective that you're trying to do, and then send you to a completely different area. So Soldier's Field is going to present us with the challenge of needing Shock Jockey. And instead of just being able to get it in this area, we're going to have to run all the way over to the Hall of Heroes and deal with that area first. Later on, we'll be able to skip these big diversions, but this is one we can't skip because the area we need to go to is way up there, where that door's not loaded in. And those cables, unfortunately, do not have collision. The devs were smart enough to realize that if they had collision, we could probably just break it. So I'm going to let JB explain what's about to happen.
Yeah, so
climb.
We mentioned elevators earlier, and this trick is actually called an elevator. So when you are not considered on the ground, you are actually able to slightly clip into walls, and the game will attempt to correct the problem by letting you climb the collision. So he climbs up to the top of the building by just walking into it and jumping a little bit. He's able to stand on top, and this conveniently lets us go to the other side of the level so we can continue doing the rest of Soldier's Field without having to do the starting area. And you do a lot of back and forth. So this kind of just lets us advance a lot earlier and just go to the next fight.
Yeah, we got it first try, luckily. It's not really a difficult skip, but you don't want to mess it up. And that gets us past an elevator, an actual elevator, not the trick we call an elevator, where you deal with a bee and Songbird comes to attack again. So we're just going to manipulate these guys to spawn over here, so it makes them really easy to take out in one big swoop. We're going to get a crow to spawn, who's always really annoying to kill. Let's see how it goes. So one thing I'm going to be doing pretty much this entire run when I'm doing fights is also being conscious of my health. Starting in the Hall of Heroes, which is the next area we go to, we're going to be doing what's known as death warping, and that requires really low health. But you don't want to be too low, otherwise you can't activate HRH. Because we kind of do a combination of the two. So we got Murder of Crows, which we could have picked up earlier, but as I said, there's like a 15-second animation if we had done so, so getting it there is much faster. We also passed up Bucking Bronco, so we would have gotten the animation there as well. And we'll get that on the way back. And come up here, and we're going to get rid of our machine gun once we get to this next section. And we're going to pick up the RPG. And the RPG is going to be our first way of doing stealth damage, which is going to allow us to break our own shield and get speed boost whenever we want. I have 5, okay. So I kind of want to set up the next area to have 2 shots to death. So one shot will get me down to invincibility frames, and then another shot would have me die and respawn. The reason we want this is because the next door here, we're going to jump through it as we're dying with the speed boost from the HRH. That's just a death. This is the hardest death warp and probably the hardest trick in the entire run.
Yeah.
We have to go really far through this door.
All throughout Hall of Heroes, he'll be utilizing this. So as you see him shoot his feet, he just wants to get his health as low as possible. The game also will add a few iframes to make sure you don't die immediately. And so he has to kind of wait that out without losing his speed boost. So there's a slight window where he can still run forward and have the full speed gain from HRH.
Nice. And that was second try, which is actually pretty good. This is one we don't want the speed boost for. We're just gonna get down the 1 HP, or essentially 1 HP. And just kind of do a running jump through here. So whenever you die, you kind of lose some collision. You won't fall through the floor or go through walls, but you can go through gates and doors, which you're not supposed to be able to do. And that allows you to access triggers on the other side, which a lot of times it's like, oh, you made it here, you must have this door open, so it just unlocks it for you. So whenever you respawn, you can just walk on through. So we're gonna have Elizabeth picklock here, and we just ran back to activate 2 soldiers, which prevents a soft lock later. And then from here, we're going to bypass the whole different dimension warping stuff, which is like the tutorial in the next area. We're just gonna do another death warp with the boosts through this door. So this is another trigger that's like, oh, you've made it this far, this door must be unlocked at this point.
Yeah, you're meant to go...
While that itself isn't big, we can go down this hallway and access a different trigger, which is going to spawn in Slate, who has our shock jockey. So we bypass the fight by just coming down this hallway here.
Yeah, they expect you to go all the way around the level, but all of the checkpoints are behind all the doors conveniently for us. And that lets us just load the different sections we need to, like Slate being there.
You're not done here, soldier! Eat everything that's on your plate! Finish it! You're a tin man now!
Yeah, sparing Slate, killing Slate doesn't really matter for anything in the run, but it's just a little bit faster to spare them. And we can't actually get shock jockey any other point, so we're going to see the animation for this one. So if you're wondering how long they really are, just think about skipping this every time. Pretty decent length. And now all we have to do is make our way back out to the front. So overall, this was a pretty good Hall of Heroes, not too bad at all. This is one of, if not just the hardest split in the run. So we put that down to deal with those 2 guys. And you're gonna notice when I run up here, I'm gonna run through a gate. And that's why we spawned the 2 soldiers in earlier, that gate right there. So we don't soft lock. Now we have shock jockey, we can return to Soldier's Field, access the gondola ride, and make our way out of here. So just picking up some money along the way. There's kind of 2 ways to do Soldier's Field 2. Returning back down. There's one way where you jump off and you wait a little bit lower. But then you have to deal with more enemies, and it's just a real hassle to save a couple seconds. So we're going to take the safe way. Just get back here. And then the skyline isn't accessible yet. Normally, this other area is down here. You'd wait at, but pretty safe. And we're just going to make our way all the way back and start a fight. So if you got a couple donations, you can go for it.
Gladly. We have $10 from Thorcat saying, "Have a perfect run, BloodThunder. You're the best." We have $5 from Steffi Miss saying, "Thor looks like the sweetest kitty. Can you give him a good pet for us later? Thank you."
Absolutely. Third pick up Bucking Bronco. We could have got it before because it is somewhat useful, but the animation's just not worth it. So we get it there. It's going to help us out in this next fight, and you can go on with some more donations.
I think I understand how you do what you
Shock that, pull the lever, and we're going to start a really annoying fight to do. Not that it's hard or difficult, but it's just really long. And it doesn't really do a whole lot for us, so we have to wait for this gondola, if I can switch weapons, right there to come all the way down. And these ships are going to keep flying in. And, we just have to make sure everyone's dead before the gondola reaches the bottom.
Whatever.
So there's some additional stuff we can pick up in this room. Nothing crazy. Some basic supplies. Oh, she found some money. Nice. And she doesn't want to give it to us. So there's a brand new type of enemy that we're going to meet here, which is the Rocketeers. And you can spend time to fight them, but the easiest way to deal with the guys that shoot rockets like him is to use Bucking Bronco to boost him up into the sky and then just knock him off with melee. So we're just going to take care of the normal ones. And boost him up, knock him into the void, and yeah, he'll just fall down. It's a really scary death for him, but we don't have to deal with him anymore. You can also just shoot him off if you want. Easy peasy. Now we have to deal with a bunch of just regular soldiers, which are not difficult at all to fight. So we're going to come up here, access this gun animation. So we skipped the whole bringing in different stuff, the whole tear tutorial with Elizabeth. That's her mechanic. You can access different things. So we can spawn in one of these tears per fight or at any given time. So we can just change it if we want to. But we're going to stand here, wait for these guys to show up, and then start blasting. Get their stuff. The gondola is very slow, so perfect time for donations. Got some?
We got plenty. We have $150 from Neko46 saying, "Songbird is not angry. He is just torn apart." We have $5.
I don't know if that one works.
Sorry. We have
I don't know if that pun worked, but
it was there though. Everyone seems to love Thor. We have $5 from Anonymous saying, "You sound like the Bob Ross of BioShock streamers. Love your cat." We have $100.
I always figured Spike Vegeta was the Bob Ross of speedrunners, but you know, I'll take it.
But of BioShock streamers.
Spike could run BioShock. He'd do it.
Potentially. Time for one more?
Yep.
We have $100 from Lonnie2K1 saying, "There's always a GDQ, there's always a great cause, there's always an abundance of amazing runners, constants and variables. Greetings to all the runners and staff from a home office in Austria." We have $5 from Seika saying, "Let's keep the trains going. $5 train for Thor, and Haiku train as well. Forget the hammer. For Thor, the cute cat deserves a $5 train."
Yeah, there's a Patriot over here. There's two guys just chilling on that roof. I hope they spawn in because they need to die pretty quickly. Maybe they did. I'm not sure. Yeah, here they come. There's that Elizabeth. Nope, that's them. Fortunately, these enemies wanted to be jerks. We'll just take them out. Now we're going to get our health down as low as we can. So we're going to do a death warp on the gondola, but once we get to a certain point... Okay. These guys really want to be annoying. The fights in this game in general has a lot of just inconsistencies. Some fights later on have the potential to soft lock out of nowhere. So anytime it happens, it's kind of annoying to see. But yeah, we're going to take this nice gondola ride up with Elizabeth. We're going to just talk a little bit, and then as soon as they're done with their dialogue, we're going to
When you were
do
unconscious,
a nice death warp off this.
kept repeating a woman's name. Anna.
I don't want to talk about that.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pried. Where are you from, Mr. DeWitt?
New York.
Just kind of a little getting to know
Business
you
much like this.
conversation going on here.
Really caters writing on the resume.
It was a fine thing you came along when you did.
How do you think I ended up here? I gambled, and now I owe money
And
to
the
men
way
you
the
don't want me to
respawns
get into.
work is there are essentially a lot of invisible boxes in the game, and so once you're within one invisible box, the game decides to then change where you respawn. So that's why there's so many different death warps in this run.
Yeah, so we're just basically getting off of this a little bit sooner, and as we respawn here, you'll see the gondola still coming to the top. So pretty small time save, but it's pretty nice at the same point. Get these guys out of the way. And another wonderful elevator ride up to the top. Luckily, it's a pretty short one. And we're still just continuously boosting by shooting the ground in front of us, breaking the shield,
Either they've got a profit
hopefully
on their
finding some
side,
snacks along the way. We're going to pick up some money, another salt infusion.
so wrote the signs.
So every time I pick that up, you can see the bar on the bottom left get a little bit bigger.
You all right?
I want to see Paris.
This is a pretty big twist for Elizabeth.
Everything.
She finally realizes that we're not here to just set her free and take her to Paris.
40 north by 74 west. That's not Paris, that's New York.
And she is not happy
One
about it.
thing I had in that tower was time, Mr. DeWitt. Time to study things like geography.
I owed money, and there's a fellow who he offered to wipe away my debt in exchange for you.
I'm going to try to talk to her, but she's done
Everything's
talking at
gonna
this
be
point.
okay. Will you just turn around and talk
She's
to
just
me?
going to start swinging. And now we're dead. Not really. Booker has a pretty good pain tolerance, so he's getting knocked out for a little bit. And Elizabeth is going to attempt to fly the ship on her own, but she doesn't make it too far, as we'll see here. And we'll get some new faces and another perfect time for a couple donations.
We have a big one. We have $2,020 from Zagoggles saying, "Hey, late night GDQ. This year has been pretty rough, and I hope everyone is weathering it the best they can. Things will get better, hopefully assisted in part by our efforts both in donating and minimizing the spread. Thank you to the runners, commentators, donators, staff, and Twitch chat for making this summer a little bit better. Keep up the good work, BloodThunder, and Twitch chat. Don't you think a lot of these statues have a bit of a gray face?" We also have $5 from Henny saying, "Really happy to finally see BioShock Infinite in GDQ. And it's even better to see BT Showcase, which has changed since the last showing. Good luck on the run, bud. Remember that neither Bird
thank you, Henny.
or Cage is canon. Also, Jama is incorrect. Eating the apple definitely curses your run. Team No Apple. Put my $5 towards hearing the lovely Fiona chant some nice songs in Azcan."
Caused a mess of trouble after Raffle.
Nice, thank you so much, Henny. So this is Daisy Fitzroy. She plays a part
I got no quarrel with you.
in the story of this game, not so much in the speedrun. So I mentioned before in Soldier's Field that the game likes to show you the endpoint and then send you on a different diversion in a completely different area. So this is one of the big parts where we get to skip all of that once we get into the factory. Basically, because we skipped the entire raffle section, Colombia, as you can probably guess, is a pretty racist city. We're having a little uprising. So Daisy's like, "Hey, if you want your ship back," which is what we're currently on, you have to go get some guns for us and help our uprising. And we're not gonna do any of that. We're gonna skip the whole gun quest line
Down in
and
Fate,
go straight to the end.
gunsmith can supply weapons to our cause. Get our guns from him.
But not before we get to see Booker survive yet another great feat. He's gonna drop like 50 feet straight onto his back, but he's good. He's gonna get up and run away. Gonna do a pretty cool jump here. It's a very small time save, but you can stack the Sugar Rush in that bottle with HRH, boost over this, and just kind of skip running around the docks a little bit there. Very small time save, but really, really cool. This is also another pretty small time save, but it's going to get us past this cutscene of seeing Elizabeth try to sneak on board a different ship as a stowaway. We're just going to hop around there using HRH boosting. And that prevents some of these things to get in our path, like that cargo box. Normally it would block you and you have to crouch under it, which isn't something we really want to do. This stuff is supposed to be knocked over by Elizabeth, and she's going to open some tears.
Elizabeth!
Balloons apparently slow you down, which is weird.
Just hold up for
So we're going to get up to this next tear, and we're going to do another death warp. This isn't going to get us any further, but anytime you respawn, you get health back and you get ammo back. So we boosted a lot through that area. We take a death so that we can get both of those things back. To kind of speed up the rest of the level. And you have to wait there anyway, so it just kind of works out. And here's a fight. So it's not too bad, but we absolutely wrecked this first guy's day. He's just chilling, having a good day on the job. We just pop down and start blasting. So in the middle of this fight, we're going to go ahead and pick up another salt infusion. Luckily for fights, enemies always spawn in the same place. What they do after that's a little random, but for the most part, they like to behave. And this is the only fight where a turret will count as an enemy. And so for this fight to progress, you have to take out that turret. That's never the case in any other fight in this game, and it's kind of strange, but it is what it is. So the reason we're not knocking this guy off is because he's a volley gunner and not just a Rocketeer. And we want his volley gun. So it's going to act very much like the RPG, but it's not going to do nearly the same amount of damage. So we can really use this to boost through levels without having to take too much damage. And that's just a little fast way to get over there. Normally you just ride it around in a loop. Pops up. Here's a handyman. We saw one at the fair way early on in the game. But, you know, they're an enemy that you kind of see in this game a couple times. Another wonderful cutscene here where Booker somehow survives all of this. And perfect time for a couple donations.
Sounds good. We have $25 from a pterodactyl saying, "There's always a speed run, there's always a marathon, there's always a donation." We have $25 from Nathan216 saying, "Donating because of how adorable Thor was. Thor DLC?"
There's always a Thor.
Everyone loves Thor.
Elizabeth, I made an arrangement to get our airship back.
You can
Got time for one more?
Yes. I
Will
just
do.
need to supply enough weapons
We
to
have $30 from Pingu saying, "Sending love for Thor."
A gunsmith in Finkton should be a walk in the
Nice, thank you.
park.
I will be sure to send him all of the love after this is over. I will pet him for many hours. Here we're gaining the trust of Elizabeth again. Well, not really trust, but she's like, "You're really my only way out of here." So I guess I'll team up again, which is nice. So right there, you just kind of get stuck for whatever reason. Can't move any. But we're gonna buy 2 upgrades. We're gonna buy damage boost for our volley gun. We're gonna buy damage boost for our rocket or our RPG. And because I'm a little low on ammo, we're gonna go over here and buy some. This is where money's like, it's nice to have, but it's not super important because it's pretty easy to always have some money in this game. So this is factory. We're gonna start a big fight here, and then we're going to attempt to skip this entire gunsmith quest line. So take out 2 guards, and you also cannot lockpick while in combat. That's why we take those 2 guys out. Place down 2 traps to kill off some enemies that spawn in. Take out a Patriot, which is like a big mobile enemy. Take out these nerds. This guy trying to run away. This guy popping up, and that should be everybody. Perfect. We're going to do another death warp because a lot of times Elizabeth will start some dialogue and things won't progress until that dialogue's done. But if you interrupt it with a death, then the game will just consider her dialogue finished and you can move on. So elevator we need to come up will not get to where we need it until she's done. And we're going to set up another death warp, believe it or not. Get down to our iframes. And then we're going to do a death warp through the glass of this elevator. What this is going to do for us is spawn us basically right below. So the elevator is right there. We're going to boost off of this, jump around this corner, hit the seam of this wall, land out of bounds, expertly walk through here, pop through this wall, and that gets past the entire gunsmith quest line.
Really
But
clean.
because we did that, the skyhooks here aren't accessible, so we didn't do another death warp through this gate. So we're gonna try to set this up without dying from these rockets. Okay, I think we're good. So a lot of times the game's like, oh, you died at this specific spot, we're just gonna res you here. It doesn't have a real res point. So yeah, you just death warp through and it's like, oh, you died on the other side of this fence. Here you go. So that's past the factory. We're gonna run through here, get to an elevator, and Elizabeth is gonna start talking about all of these people that we have never met in this run. She feels really guilty about it, doing her best SpongeGar impression. Daisy's gonna tell us like some things that don't make any sense for the speedrun, because this is also trying to introduce the idea of multiple timelines and different universes, which really comes into play at the end. It's one of those things that if you try to think about logically and try to piece it together, you're gonna find plot holes. It just happens. You either love it or you don't. Some people really hate the story in this game. Some people really, really love it. Yeah, that's why Daisy's going to say, you know, I've seen you die, you helped us out before. It's because in her timeline, that's what we did. But in our timeline, of course, we're here doing random stuff. So that's why this dialogue makes 0 sense. We got time for a quick donation, because this elevator takes time.
All right. We have $50 from Ojai134 saying, donating for an extremely good cat. And the doctors, those are important too. But seriously, that cat.
I had a role in this catastrophe. If you want to pretend that we're purely innocents in this, then that's your prerogative, but...
But now we're going to talk to Daisy. She's going to tell us, I've seen you die. You must be a ghost, because
Fitzroy.
clearly we shouldn't be
Listen,
here.
I got you your guns. I'm here for my airship.
This is all setting up this next fight, where we basically have to confront Daisy and get our airship back, and then we can move on to Emporia and all that good stuff that's to come.
You just complicate the narrative.
This game really likes its elevators. We're gonna get to the top here, and there's a couple of enemies just chilling. Once again, just absolutely wrecked their day by shooting a rocket. Right here in front of the door is Undertow, which is a really, really useful vigor that we're going to pick up later, so we skip the animation. In the meantime, we're going to pick up a lot of money that's just chilling here, a lot of supplies, and then we're going to set up for the fight. So a couple things we're going to do is we're going to temporarily drop our RPG for a crank gun. So we're going to use this to kill off a handyman that's going to spawn. I'm going to pop up here, place down 2 Devil's Kiss traps, one on each side. This is just to prevent some enemies from standing up here, which they like to do. I'm gonna get on the skyhook and wait for a ship to pop in, because this is a fireman, which you're supposed to meet right after the raffle, but we don't. They're pretty much tanks, so much like the Rocketeers, we're gonna... Wow, it actually boosted me all the way over there. Nice. We're gonna knock him up into the air and then hit him off the map. Okay. At some point we'll do this. There we go. Get that guy into the void. Kill these guys off. Hopefully Elizabeth's gonna throw us some health. She probably will. Now we're just gonna stand here until the handyman spawns in. And the reason we picked up Murder of Crows earlier, and it becomes really, really useful here, is it's gonna distract the handyman from us, for us. So we're gonna throw that at him. He's gonna get attacked by crows, and we can just shoot his weak spot, which is the little heart in the middle of his chest. He's got health at least. Now we're just gonna clean up some enemies. This is a fight that can soft lock. Sometimes enemies will get stuck in this main building and they will not escape, but we're good. That was actually pretty clean for the most part. So here's Daisy. She realizes that we're right here, and she doesn't want us to get in. So we also picked up our RPG again, so we want that. Crank gun's only useful for that fight.
We have to do something. We have to act.
We're gonna boost Elizabeth in here.
Come on, Booker. We've got to get out of here. Boost me
use the boost to get through. She's gonna go deal with Daisy. Once we distract her here.
Is this it? Is this your movement, Daisy?
This is what needs to be done. You see, the founders ain't nothing but weeds. Cut them down and they just grow back. If you want to get rid of the weed, you gotta pull it up from the root. It's the only way to...
Now the raspberry jelly will spill everywhere. Gonna make a real mess.
Elizabeth.
I guess it runs in the family.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, she just killed Daisy Fitzroy, and she's, you know, obviously freaked out, as she should be. But Booker doesn't really care. We're just gonna get another infusion, which is gonna max us out.
Feel better already.
Yeah, as I said, he already feels better about the whole thing, so. Gonna boost down here, chase after her.
She has to change her attire from all that jam.
Listen, I think you should talk to
Yeah,
me.
she got a little bit of jelly on her clothes, so she's gonna go change, and we're gonna go ahead and access controls here. Gonna set our course. I have zero idea how these controls actually work because he just keeps pulling them and they change somehow. Hey, she's already changed. Cut off her hair. Looking real nice. I don't know if it bothers anyone else, but this central command is like tilted.
How do you do it?
How do I do what?
It really bothers me for some reason that it's not even.
How do you wash away the things that you've done?
Something you kind of notice over time.
You don't. Just learn to live with it.
She now has to live with the guilt of actually taking a life, which
Choice between us.
she's not quite happy with.
New York or Paris?
But our old friend Songbird's about to make an appearance. There he is. What a cutie. He doesn't really care what happens. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to attack this. We'll play out how it does.
If you ever see her skirt glitch out, it's actually just from having high FPS. The cloth physics start to freak out a little bit.
Nice little wallop right there. Yet another point where they probably shouldn't have survived, but you know, they do. Why not?
Here you are.
Here's the Lutez twins again. They're going to kind of introduce the fact that Songbird is controlled, who would have guessed, by songs. Depending on which song you play and how you play it, which instrument, it affects what can happen.
You've done it now. He's coming back. He's coming back.
The notes were correct.
The instrument was not.
One needs both to get his attention.
There's also a really cool fight skip coming up.
You where you need to go.
It's not super technical. Basically, the enemies just don't spawn if you walk around the fight.
So Comstock uses these songs. Well,
Yeah, it's not going to look like a skip at all. It is really easy to do.
So where is he?
If you're looking to run this is like the easiest thing you can possibly learn.
Well, at least they left the piano.
We're going to just move this piano out of the way. Once we run up to this bridge, we're going to jump off the side of it and just kind of take a shorter path. And this gets past a trigger that's right at the end of the bridge. It's going to spawn an enemy, so just jumping here makes them not spawn. Easy as that. We're going to boost through here. Here's another point where interrupting Elizabeth interacting with something will cause her to just skip it. So she's going to start picking that lock, and she's going to use that as a time to explain some stuff or talk. I don't remember what actually happens, but if we run away, she wants to follow us because that's just in the game's coding, and it breaks the pick locking. Here we're going to pick up Charge and Undertow, two really nice vigors, and we're going to get Undertow Aid, which upgrades it. Pick up some more ammo. We're about to run into another fight where we have to wait for a gondola ride to pop down. This one's notably shorter than the last one. Also going to try to find a bit more money because in the next area we want $740 in order to buy one last upgrade. I think we're at like 600 or so. This area really likes to hand out big things of money. Let's see if we can get lucky. If we don't get the last upgrade, it's not the end of the world. It is just a clip increase for the volley gun. So instead of shooting 8 shots, it can shoot 16 without reloading. 694, 49, 15. There we go. So now get our upgrade. Here comes the enemies. So we're going to use Undertow, the vigor that we just got, to pull enemies in, stun them for a second, just unleash the volley gun into them. The reason I use the volley gun for a lot of fights instead of the RPG, despite the RPG doing more damage, is just ammo resources. It's much faster to use the volley gun, and you have a lot more ammo to do so. The RPG really comes into play when we want to really take damage quickly. Here's another wonderful gondola ride. It's kind of like a horizontal elevator. Kind of just makes you really think about the Lutece twins, which you kind of get into the backstory of them in downtown Emporia, but we're not going to do all that. So a couple more donations we can fit in here.
Sounds good. We have $50 from Tina and Ollie saying, keep on doing what you are doing. We have $200 from Humming saying, SGDQ has been something I've been looking forward to, and it's been awesome seeing runners go brrr.
Nice. Good time for one more.
We have $5 from Nordry of Uthgard saying, would you kindly donate $5 despite this being the wrong game for this meme?
Yeah, it's a BioShock 1 meme, but you know, we'll still take it. So as we get up to the top here, we can't do any death warping off of this one, unfortunately, but once this is open, we're going to set up a death warp, and we're also just going to boost through here. It's one of the great things Charge can do. We're going to use it later on to skip some stuff, but you can just charge to enemies and bypass having to run a little bit. So we're going to run up these stairs, use it to target this nerd. Get a little bit further. We're just going to keep on boosting. So this death warp is going to get us past a gate. It's not actually going to fully get us past it, but it's going to allow us to basically get out of combat long enough to pick this lock. It's not going to despawn the enemies or anything, so if they come up here quickly, it could be a problem, but it usually never happens. So now we're out of combat for a second. She can pick the lock. We also get ammo back, which is really nice. We have to deal with these two enemies. This guy likes to hang up there, so we just pull him down. And, that's the whole fight. There's actually a lot of fights you have to go through there normally. I get this past all of it. We're gonna set up another elevator, but we got a little code we gotta find first. And you know your games. This code may look a little bit familiar.
Why are you so keen?
It's the good old 0451.
Person in a cage, they develop an interest in such things.
I suppose so.
And I won't be locked up
Which they conveniently left here in really big letters, or like big fonts so we can see it easily. But no, the statue is summoning Songbird. It's like, hey, they're over here. Songbird, for some reason, has very limited vision, and he just will not spot us. Despite the fact that he really should be able to here. Once he's gone, we're going to see something that's always funny in this run. We see how much of a size difference there is between Booker and Elizabeth. Just keep an eye on their hands. You'll see what I mean. Booker either has the biggest hands ever, or she has the smallest hands. It's a little ridiculous.
You will not let him take me back.
Like, his thumb alone is the size of her entire hand.
All right.
So that gets us into downtown Emporia, which if you've played the game, this is the part where you are introduced to Lady Comstock, Elizabeth's mother, who has passed on. and she's become a ghost, and normally you'd have to go and fight the ghost at like 3 different locations, and it's this big wraparound so you can get into Comstock's house, and that's all really annoying, so we're not going to do any of that. There used to be a really, really annoying skip to do here involving a handyman and charging to him, but we're going to get up here, and one of my good friends, Zimbabwe, found this a long time ago. Pretty cool skip that if you like look into here and get over this gate.
Yeah, it's a little
shout out to them for finding that.
You basically have to spam the iron sights on your weapon, which we haven't really used a lot, and it allows you to delay yourself in the air long enough to just barely get over it.
Yeah, so we got it there. It's a little slow, but we got it. There's a vigor you can get there. I don't honestly remember what it's called. It's not useful. We don't pick it up. We're gonna go to clip increase. That's our last upgrade we're gonna buy. Theoretically, you could buy some more, but it's never really worth it. We're gonna make our way over to the Comstock House gate, which are kind of 2 ways of dealing with. You can either do this weird death warp setup where you death warp through the gate and then jump off into the void and it puts you back on the other side of the gate. Or you can do a little bit newer trick. It's old at this point, but if you haven't seen it run in a while, it's pretty cool. This one involves the high FPS, like slanted walls. We're not actually off the ground, but because of the way this is angled, you can just like clip through here with high FPS.
Yeah, this specific wall just happens to be the exactly perfect angle for this trick to work. Earlier with Soldier's Field, it allowed us to elevator up, but in this case, like BT said, he's not off the ground, so we just go through instead.
So we clip through one wall and then we got to clip back in bounds. Depending on how you're angled and like your FPS, can change how you clip through and how fast you clip through. It's a little finicky sometimes, but there we go. Made it on through. Besides Hall of Heroes, Songbird Skip, which is the next thing we're about to do here, is probably the hardest part, so we'll see how this goes. We're going to activate HRH. We're going to hop on this wire for just a little bit. Get it first try. Nice. So normally you'd run up here, hit the lever, and you'd start a cutscene where Songbird comes in, and he's going to take Elizabeth away from you. But because we did that, we still have Elizabeth. We skipped the cutscene, and now we're at a different version of the Comstock House. We're just going to keep boosting.
BT made that look way too easy. It's actually very difficult for new runners.
That cable has collision only for a little bit of time. There's also an invisible wall to start. So you strafe jump with the boost around the wall, and then right before it loses collision, you jump off of it into the middle, and that activates Songbird's trigger there. So Charge has one of the coolest tricks. You just target this turret from the bottom floor, zip your way all the way up to the top, skipping a lot of content really, really easily. It's one of my favorites to do. It always looks so cool. So we're just going to boost through this house, try to jump over this. Nope, not today. Get up top so that we can access a lever, and then we're going to take an elevator ride back down. So we're going to set up a death warp as well. Be careful of my health, but try to boost as much as I can.
There's the switch.
This is also supposed to be like a scary section of the game, with like jump scares and these things called the Boys of Silence, I think, these guys. But that's the only one you see. They're not really a thing in this run at all. So right after this, I'm gonna reload checkpoint. And we're gonna do a death warp here in a second. The reason I'm reloading checkpoint is to hopefully prevent Elizabeth from despawning later on. So we're really not supposed to have her at this point. She's supposed to be in captivity. So the game is a little bit confused. And there's a chance when we go to free her from captivity that she will despawn from the map for 30 seconds. And we don't really have a consistent way of preventing that. But sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Here's the Lutez twins again. We wait there for a second, not the soft lock. They're just teleporting around. They're pretty cool characters. Now we're going to see old Lady Elizabeth.
Running the asylum.
This part of the game really, really goes into the whole different timeline, parallel universe stuff, which really can't cover. If you want to look into that stuff, I'm sure you can find YouTube videos or look at the Wikipedia page for it.
In me, just to bring you here.
Essentially, she's from a different timeline where we never came and freed her, and Comstock wins.
Here.
And they attack New York and set the world on fire. So she's going to help us. She's going to try to help us prevent that from happening in our timeline. It's kind of a... Because we have high FPS, there's a little trick we can do, which is kind of fun.
Say what you will about Comstock. It was a hell of a
So no wave saves any time, but
wasn't the torture that broke me. Wasn't the indoctrination.
Almost.
It was time. Time rots everything, Booker. Even hope.
not sure if it's gonna happen. There we go. So we're gonna just boost up on top of her head.
He always stops.
Get a little better view.
Yes, but I would find a way.
Weird thing is the fans on that version of Colombia aren't spinning. I guess they just never thought you'd look up enough to see it.
Yours and hers.
This note she's going to give us it's a message to our Elizabeth saying, hey, this is how you can prevent this from happening. But it's coded, and we can't read it ourselves.
I actually believe the Colombia in the sky is not 3D at all either. It's a 2D video.
1912. Before she...
Now we're back in our own timeline. There's Elizabeth. We got to go set her free by pulling 2 levers. So we're just going to kind of boost through here. Once we pull the second lever, not this one, the next one, we can't really die. Enemies can't really hurt us. We also don't want to like boost like we're doing now, because the entire map is gonna like shake and move, kind of like how the tower did when Songbird attacked it earlier. And that has a chance to clip you through the floor if you're like boosting really, really fast. So we're just gonna run forward and let the stuns happen. Yeah, we don't have to worry about any of these enemies. And this is the point where Elizabeth will either despawn or she'll stay in the map. Once we free her, there's a moment when she would normally like spawn back in as a character. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of weird. And at that moment in time, she'll either pop out of the map or she'll just stay there.
You ready?
We gotta pull this giant needle out of her back. She takes it pretty well. We get lucky, we can skip an animation. Let's see. So there is a chance when you hit that interaction to hit the next one, which is right here, and you just skip that first one entirely. Go straight to tying her corset.
I'm the one who...
Elizabeth is going to get up off this table, and she's going to go get her jacket, and when she spawns in tornadoes, which sounds weird, but just go with it, trust me. When that happens, we'll see whether she despawns or not. So if she does, it's 30 seconds lost, nothing we can do about it. It'd be very tragic if it did.
You forget, I know you.
I'm not going to let you kill him.
Really?
And she's still in the map. All right, cool. So, right when we go to put on the Skyhawk, we could see whether she disappeared or not. So we got pretty lucky there. That's nice. There's a lot of other things that can go wrong between here and the end. We're not too far from it, but in terms of map progression, but there's still a lot of content that we have to get through here. And the end of the game is not kind at all.
When did you learn that?
A lot of runs over the years have been lost from this point onward. The reason we need her at the end of this map is to open this lockpick. So if she despawns, you're just stuck here waiting. We have given her the note, and she cannot figure it out.
Nothing here is a cipher that I understand except for this symbol. It's a
Hand of the Prophet, which is the next map.
Did she say anything
Is
about this?
definitely one of my least favorites, because as I mentioned, things can just go wrong. There's a lot of fighting you got to do here, and a pretty cool trick known as deck skip that can just be really, really unkind. We're going to start a lockpick here on the door and then interrupt it with a death warp. We get past all of that dialogue. Basically, at this point, we need to get onto Comstock's airboat, the Zeppelin. In order to do that, we need to get another smaller boat to spawn in so we can take that over to it. But this boat sometimes doesn't like to spawn in. We got to kill off some Patriots first.
Yeah, this game is very particular about the state that the game needs to be in when like certain boats spawn in or whatever. So you just have to make sure you meet the conditions, which kind of lends itself to doing the fights as fast as you can.
So if we're lucky, the boat's already spawned in. If not, yeah. So we need a boat to like basically fly in here and wrap around. For whatever reason, sometimes it just likes to take a while. Sometimes I like to imagine that running back here helps spawn it back in, but we'll see. We just kind of have to play a waiting game at this point. So if you got a couple donations, now's the perfect time. There's the boat.
That we do. We have $15 from Lost Void saying, did someone say BioShock 1 memes? All I can say to that is, welcome to the circus of value. Enjoying watching you and every other runner crush their respective games. We have $10 from Daniel Dom 3 saying, BioShock is one of my favorite game series, and I'm glad I can watch this while working. Keep it up, gamers.
Nice. So one weird thing that can happen, which I didn't even realize until I was practicing for this, is sometimes the corpses that stay on the boat will prevent you from accessing this lever, and they can get propped up in like this corner, and the only way to like progress is to then knock them off, which becomes a real struggle. So luckily it didn't happen today. So we're gonna get a little throwback to the intro when we get asked, you know, are we afraid of God? And he says, no, I'm afraid of you. We're just gonna be kind of on an auto scroller where we have to go and fight a whole bunch of troops that are gonna prevent us from getting to the Zeppelin. So keep those donations in, because we've got some time for those to play out.
Will do. We have $25 from Eddie66 saying, BioShock Infinite is one of my favorite games, so why not donate during this run? Love from Germany. We have $20 from Yerochan saying, BioShock done fast. Would you kindly donate more? Wait, wrong game. My bad. We have $5 from Lady Rock Laura saying, here's some money. We have $50 from Anonymous saying, airships and kitties, two of my favorite things. Keep going strong, Blood. We have $25 from Cypher66 saying, would you kindly play this game as fast as possible?
It's more up to the game than it is me, but I will try. A weird thing about this fight is while you're waiting for these ships to despawn, the next one you can actually be seen, like just waiting off screen down there. Unfortunately, you can't really do anything to them, but that's where they're going to attack next. But we still got some more time for donations.
We have $20 from Anonymous saying, praise Thor. Thanks for keeping the festival running and supporting an important cause.
Look out! More of them!
We have $5 from Density saying, hey BT, you're doing great. One question though, where's your team?
That is a good question. Where is my team? Thank you, Density. You're gonna knock this Rocketeer off. Sometimes these enemies like to jump back to the ship. So yeah, this guy's over here just chilling. Hey, nice death. Luckily, we just respawn right here. Deaths really are inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Like, you lose a little bit of time respawning, but really you don't lose progress at all, which is nice. Deaths do cost you money, so every time you die, you lose a little bit of the money you've gathered. And I believe on 1999 mode, if you run out of money entirely, then you die, or you like are permadeath. That's not the case on easy, so even if we had no money, I think at that point you just restart the level, but even that's not a big deal. That's the last enemy that we have to fight here. So we're gonna get up here and go for deck skip, which is it's gonna go back to the whole slanted wall, clipping up stuff, the elevator tricks. But this is by far the most picky one, because it requires really high FPS. You want ideally like 350, which is really hard for a lot of runners to hit, but we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, 350 is actually similar in BioShock 1 as well, where that's kind of like the breaking point for how the physics calculations work. So once it like just gets higher and higher, it just starts to calculate it faster and faster. And this bounce here was actually found very recently. You can actually jump right in that spot, and you just bounce all the way up. There used to be a really annoying strat for that before. And then
this is where we cross our fingers and really hope the game's kind to us, because this is not as easy as the other elevators. Oh.
This is also the hardest area in the game to get a high frame rate. There's just a lot of effects and enemies in this area.
So now we're up on top. We have to get up on top of this little arch that was really quick for deck skip. And that gets us access to this skyline, which allows us to jump on one that usually has pods on it. And this whole area is waiting for all these pods to drop. So by jumping up there and jumping back down, we can just bypass that whole waiting. That's like 2 minutes of nothing but sitting there and waiting. You don't fight anything, you can't speed it up, it's just waiting. So that was really, really nice.
Yeah, good job.
We're gonna go right into another trick. We're gonna run through engineering deck and go into profit cabin skip. We'll let JB talk about.
Yeah, so for profit cabin skip, you are going to take the rail and then spawn in part of the final fight map, and then you're gonna go back and go up to the top, and then you can actually jump down where you're there's no collision on a certain part of the ship, and then you can stand beside that and jump inbounds inside of the ship, and this lets you bypass just a huge chunk of the unskippable cutscenes to just activate another unskippable cutscene instead.
Okay. So normally when you die there, you automatically see the animation of opening the door play out. So not seeing it right away kind of scared me, but that whole thing that we did is to remove some of our collision so we can do fun things like this. If you're a dentist, this would be really, really handy. You could just get in here, check the molars. Oh, I think those wisdom teeth need to come out. But it's going to allow us to skip a door later on. That's really the only use for it. We spend a lot of time setting it up, so it's not huge in the grand scheme of things, but it's a really cool skip. There's a little model of the tower. Tiny Elizabeth up there. Kind of adorable. This is the kind of the climax of the game. We finally get face-to-face with Father Comstock. We're going to meet up with them. We also put away our weapons.
I need to do this.
So now we're going to be really civil about this. Ignore the flashing. Don't worry about that. Also, because we did profit cabin skip, it loads in some textures early. So he's going to have some raspberry jelly in his hair. Don't worry about that. You know, he's a messy eater. We're going to have some revelations.
Elizabeth, everything I've done to keep you safe.
Safe from what?
I don't know why he doesn't just wash it off.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really see it, to be fair, so maybe he doesn't know it's there. You also might hear a screeching sound in the background. It's because when we did profit cabin skip, Elizabeth never left the zip line properly. So that's just her stuck on the zip line, making that sound. An interesting thing.
I've sent mighty armies to stop you. I've rained fire on you from above. I did all of that to keep you from her, when all I needed was to tell her the truth. Ask him, child. Ask him what happened to your finger. Ask DeWitt. She's your daughter, you son of a bitch.
So we're going to take over, get a little aggressive, handle it the way Booker handles everything. Getting raspberry jelly all over the place.
Nothing is finished. You lock her up for her whole life. Cut off her finger.
We're helping him take a drink. You know, you need to stay hydrated every now and then. This next part is where Profit Cabin Skip comes into play. So by losing some of our collision is going to allow us to walk through this door. I normally have to wait until Elizabeth is done talking to picklock it, but hey, we can just jump on through. Access this, and yeah, we'll go take a peek at the note, see what it has to say. Oh yeah, I can't read that. I wonder what it says. Oh, we better go hide. I'm just gonna hide in the statue for a little bit here. So coming up is the final fight of the game. This also has a chance to soft lock, and it really likes to, more than anything else, but we'll see how it goes. After this is just a whole bunch of story stuff. We'll see what happens. And while I'm going through this final fight, I'll probably let JB kind of take over, explain what's going on, because although it's not particularly hard, a lot's going on, so.
Yeah.
Oh no, she found me.
Actually, the very first run I ever did of this, Elizabeth soft blocked for 10 minutes, so fingers crossed, everyone.
Yeah, and you usually don't find out that this fight is soft locked until the very end of it. So you go through the entire thing and then realize that it's not going to progress and you have to do it all over again. And it's really, really obnoxious. So let's hope it doesn't happen today. But Songbird's finally going to come around. He's going to be on our side, finally. Such a cute boy.
Go! Booker, he'll help us. We can use him against the Vox fleet.
Yeah, now this is the Vox Populi coming in the fight, which is Daisy's people.
Yeah, so there is a set pattern. So it starts with, there's always one barge with some guys, and then another barge is going to come in. They kind of come in waves. They just don't tell you what the waves are, really. A lot of this is just trying to manage your salt and your ammo. Sometimes Elizabeth will step in and throw you some, and you just gotta hope it's the thing you want. You also will use Songbird on certain ones just to save a little bit of time. Doesn't necessarily matter which one you do it on, but typically when you start to learn the fight, you want it to go a certain way. So he's gonna mostly still utilize the rocket launcher and the volley gun as usual. There's also some missiles on these barges. You want to make sure you take those out immediately, and then the guys will normally jump down, so you can just deal with them then. After we deal with all of that, there will be some big ships that spawn in, and that's where Songbird is really useful because it takes a lot of time to get up to those ones. There are also some traps he'll set up. These are actually for enemies that spawn in later in the fight, but those traps remain there for the whole fight. So it's good to just set them up early so you can refill your salt, not have to worry about them.
This is why we pick up all the salt infusions, because we use a lot of salt and vigors here. We also really hope Elizabeth just throws us a lot of volley gun ammo. If she doesn't, then the fight becomes finding resources. Now, Zeppelins come in, we can deal with all these nerds. Perfect timing there.
It might actually be a little hard to tell, but this fight is actually timed to a certain extent. So in the top right, you'll see a little health bar, and they're actually trying to attack like the core of the whole ship. And if they damage it all the way, then you lose the fight and have to restart, which gives a lot of people trouble in 1999 mode casually. And now that he's handled all those people on the ground, there are some machine gun turret ships, and then he's going to deal with one of the larger ships himself, while he lets Songbird handle the other one for him, assuming it's up in time.
Yeah, getting on the Zeppelins here is something a lot of people don't realize casually, that you can use this to sabotage them and take them down entirely, but it's running on the inside and attacking the core. It's always a fun thing to show off.
And he did set up those traps earlier, and now is normally about the time when those enemies actually spawn in. So here's hoping it did enough damage to them. It just kind of helps out a little bit. Sometimes you can actually kill them completely, but That's a very lucky thing to happen.
And sometimes once you kill all these Patriots and the enemies, they'll keep spawning for whatever reason, and then sometimes you'll get Rocketeers that pop up. So it just kind of depends on what the game wants to do. It looks like we're getting rockets on this one. Yeah. So once we take care of these guys, it should be over. We should be fine. I honestly don't know who's shooting right now. It's always a weird thing to happen too when you just land on like a skybox out in the void. This game, a little inconsistent. So yeah, another death, but really this doesn't do much other than lose a couple seconds. I think that rocket is still on the right side here. Let's see. Yeah. We might still have to deal with 4 enemies popping up. Yeah. So normally if everything else isn't taken care of, it'll just keep spawning 4 regular enemies. It's kind of obnoxious, but once they're gone, should be fine. Nope, it's gonna spawn 4 more for whatever reason.
Yeah, there is actually like a sound cue with the music in this game. You'll hear kind of a violin end normally.
That's why. Never. The Songbird mechanic isn't always great. So even if you click on something and hold it down, it doesn't fully interact with it. So I guess I just never took out the Zeppelin. So that's why this is not progressing. It happens a lot of times early on. I try to take out one of the gunships coming in. But Songbird doesn't always want to actually do that. So yeah, we're just waiting for the Zeppelin to go down. I guess all the enemies are gone. Elizabeth is already on the bow, so that's not too bad. Here's someone. Is that going to be a problem? Might just be waiting for that Zeppelin to fully be out of it. Nope, this guy's over here. Give it a second. It should pop up and say join Elizabeth on the bow. Doesn't, then, oh, okay. I was about to say we might have actually gotten the soft lock, but yeah, it just took a while for it to all despawn. So that's the final fight. That's the last bit of combat. Now we're going to go into a whole lot of exposition and finishing up the story. We're going to shoot off some fireworks because that's, you know, we didn't soft lock there, so why not?
And that's what you want.
Now we're going to use Songbird to destroy the siphon, which is going to grant Elizabeth to be able to access all of her powers to its fullest extent, so she can now, instead of just opening up small tears where you can bring in a couple things, she can fully manipulate time and space. It is what it is. And although that's the final fight, we still have, you know, from this point, like 11 minutes of story. There's still some cool stuff that we can do. Some skips involving the elevators. We'll have to go through this small cutscene first.
The glitchy ones, not the real ones.
Gonna take a little flashback to BioShock 1 here. Gonna pop our way over through to Rapture, which if you play BioShock 1, this is where you get Electrobolt.
Where is he?
A lot of connections can be made. It's already gone and everything, but we're gonna watch this because, you know, Songbird deserves every bit of attention we can give him. He's a really cool character. That feels a little wasted. We never actually get to properly fight him. We're just gonna watch this very sad death. Very, very tragic. Press F in chat. You're sad.
I'm sorry.
I know I'm sad. Pay our respects.
F.
Or burp.
What is this place?
There's a big daddy and little sister over there. You know, it's also pretty sad. Hey, we're gonna leave Rapture because we don't need to be here anymore. Just nice little flashback into here.
Where are you going?
Oh, come on.
This is gonna kind of wrap some stuff up together in terms of connecting the stories of BioShock 1 and Infinite. 2 kind of gets overlooked, which is sad. 2's a pretty great game as well.
Why? What is going on, Elizabeth? What
Gonna
do you
take the
mean
Bathysphere back out. We don't want to be here anymore.
I'll have to show you.
So this is part of the game where a lot of people will end up having a lot of issues with the story. and with the game overall, just because it goes really hard into the multi-universe and parallel dimensions and different timelines and everything. And as I've mentioned many times, if you really try to think about it and explain it logically, it'll never make sense, because anything with multi-universe time travel, there's going to be paradoxes, loopholes, plot holes, and stuff that just will never logically make sense, but it's still kind of cool in the grand scheme of things. We're going to come up to the surface. We're going to be going through a lot of lighthouses because there are different doorways to different universes. So we're going to kind of experience some backstory, which I'm not really going to touch too much on. We'll talk about it a little bit, but if you really want the nitty gritty, like watch a video on YouTube. I'm sure there's thousands of them, or just look up like a wiki page on the full extent of things. But
come on, it's this way. Come on.
We're going to get out of here. Yeah, everything makes perfect sense. And because this is still technically like the same area as before. Oh, okay. So the death that I took wiped away the Prophet Cabin Skip effect, so we can no longer walk through Elizabeth. Normally, if you don't die, you still have the effect, and you can just walk through here.
Come from?
It's always been there.
The moon's also really, really bright. It's a good thing we're not a werewolf. So that'd make it a very different game. So once we go through this door, we're going to do a cool trick where we use another elevator to get up on top of a wall here. So we're going to wait until it boosts us up a little bit, and then we're going to hit jump and get skyrocketed to the top.
Yeah.
It's going to get us past waiting through some dialogue and stuff.
When he's walking into that little wall, he's actually not on the ground anymore, which is why he's able to just kind of shoot all the way up, because it's letting him get to the top of the collision area.
Yeah, you're going to see me walk backwards through a lot of here. Thanks to Fleet Feet earlier, it helps us move sideways and backwards a little bit faster. And this part of the game slows down your forward momentum speed, but not your side to side or your back walking. So I'm gonna do another elevator there and walk on this invisible wall around some posts. This part's kind of scary. So you can fall into the void here. Get past that. Elizabeth's floating over on the left. If you see that, it's kind of fun. So we're gonna walk over to one of the two lighthouses. It doesn't usually matter which one you pick. You can go left or right. But we're gonna attempt to break out of this one by holding back and jumping like that. So we unload that cutscene, or that area. We're gonna walk over to the other lighthouse. And this is gonna skip a bit of dialogue and let us interact with the priest right away. Just gonna walk backwards here.
No, I don't want to.
So instead of being in here normally and having to wait for all this dialogue to pass, we can just interact with them right away. You hear some dialogue overlapping as well.
Do you hate your wickedness?
Yes.
Do you want to clean the slate, leave behind all you were before, and be born again in the blood of the Lamb? Jesus, wash this man clean. Father, make him born again. Lord, stop it. What are you doing to it? Get off me! Shut up!
Yeah. Now we're getting a whole bunch of flashbacks to kind of explain how we got to where we were at the very beginning of the game and who Elizabeth is and all this good stuff, which we'll talk to in time. Basically, this baptism is very important. Keep that in mind.
He was here. This way.
So we're trying to hunt down Comstock so that we can go and kill him before any of this ever happened. We're gonna go back to our office, and there's something really, really cool in this office that I love showing off every time. So this game looks beautiful for the most part, but look at this doorknob. Look at the 8K resolution on this doorknob. It's like so extremely well textured. I mean, look at this baby. It looks like a potato. Potato with arms, and then look at this doorknob. It is immaculate. Like, every game should have doorknobs that look exactly like this one. Perfect.
Booker, you don't leave this room until you do.
This baby, as you can probably guess by looking at it, is Elizabeth. Turns out, hey, fun fact, she's yours. She's your baby. That you ended up giving away to the Lutece twins, who work for Comstock. So through different universes, Comstock ends up taking Elizabeth as a baby, and then it's your mission to essentially go and get her. So it's So if you want the nitty gritty, go look it up. I'm just gonna give an overview here.
The debt's paid. Mr. Comstock washes you of all your sins.
And then going through here is gonna put us back in a boat. Just the very opening scene of the game. There's water in the boat. Don't worry. Not gonna drown.
I go to Colombia to get you.
Booker, you're bleeding.
Remember.
And this whole bleeding thing through the nose was set up way earlier that we skipped over. I think it's introduced in the factory section of the game. Basically, if your nose bleed, that means that you're remembering something from a different timeline or something like that.
We can just go on with our lives. You don't need it.
So you're walking backwards again.
Like Lady Comstock? No. He is alive in a million
So here we have to wait for Elizabeth anyways, but she's only as fast as us, so.
Over.
Now we kind of see how all of the universe stuff works. So there's Comstock. He's a much younger man. He's got the baby, trying to get her back. And it's a point where I should point out, keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. So off comes the pinky. The reason that's important is if you play through casually, you'll notice she has a little thimble on her pinky. Also, this doorknob's now on the right side of the door. It's explained in lore that because she exists now in two different universes, 99% of her in one and her pinky in the other, that's why she can interact with tears and manipulate these different dimensions, because she's separated.
Chance for us to be together.
We're gonna go through one more tear, one more boat ride, and we'll get to the final climax of the game. Final spoiler.
You suppose he branded himself as some sort of penance?
Sure.
Point. What's done is done. What's done will be done.
Also, this was addressed a long ago, but the Lutez twins are actually the same person, just from different universes. And they are the ones who initially found out how to traverse through the different timelines in the universe.
Wipe away the debt.
See? He's starting to put his story.
You're quite fond of this theory of
They're
yours.
drag me back on the boat, and then this sets up the very beginning of the game.
I should know. I lived it.
That's why they know he will not row, because they know that in every universe, Booker never rows in this scenario, because they've seen them all. They can see all that's ever happened, all that will ever happen. There's water in the boat again. Don't worry about it.
This is all Comstock's fault. What if I went back? Killed him before he did any of this?
Things get set in motion.
How would one know how far back to go?
That's the only way to do it. Go back to when he was born.
Now our plan is to go as far back as we can. Stop Comstock from coming to power. But spoiler alert, it turns out Comstock and Booker are the same person. That split at the point of baptism. Elizabeth is in my way here. Time's coming up once we interact with the door, and then we'll talk about the stuff. So right there's time. And then, so Booker and Comstock are the same person that at the point of baptism after the Battle of Wounded Knee. If he takes the baptism, he becomes Comstock and goes on to all the stuff that he does in Colombia. And if he rejects it, then he stays Booker and goes through all of the stuff that we went through.
Of course it is. I remember.
As we started, we will end with another path.
You took the baptism. You were born again as a different man. It all has to end. To have never started.
That's a very brief summarization of it. There's a lot more to it, a lot more lore you can go and look up. But the classic smother.
He's Zachary Comstock. He's Booker DeWitt.
Both.
Yeah, so shout outs to all the other members of like the BioShock community. You know, they have a wonderful Discord if you ever want to look into running this, if you want to find out how to get the HRH-mod, if you want to run it on console, run all the skips that way. You can just go and check them out. Go to speedrun.com/BSI, I believe it is, or just search BioShock Infinite, and you can find the Discord through that. But now we're going to get into the credits with one little last surprise, one last little Easter egg. Let's pop up here. It'll take a second. But thank you guys for having me. Thanks for letting me run this once again. It was a pleasure to show off. And it's always fun. If you like BioShock runs, you can come check out my channel. Do a lot of these, run all the other ones, and we go.
Great job, BT.
Thank you.
All right, what a run. Always good to see a BloodThunder BioShock run. Here's some donations from the end of that run that we can check out. We have $25 from Yobkey saying, always love BloodThunder's runs, and seeing him run one of my favorite games of all time meant I had to donate. Thanks to everyone involved for bringing this together this year. We have $20 from Timmy saying, greetings from Germany. Love BioShock Infinite. Gotta donate when it's being run faster than Songbird can fly. Keep up the good work. We have $15 from Mystery 8th saying, this is my first time ever catching a GDQ live, and I'm just so excited to finally be able to donate to such a great cause. I love GDQ and how it highlights all the amazing things this community can do and how loving and generous gamers truly are. Keep up the good work. Obligatory greetings from Japan. And with that, I'm going to send you guys over to a quick ad, but I'll be leaving you in the good hands of an eternal enigma. Take it easy, everyone, and see you next time.
All right, and welcome back, everybody, to Summer Games Done Quick 2020 online, powered by Twitch. I will be your host for these next two runs. I am an Eternal Enigma, and welcome to everybody. Welcome to back to SGDQ 2020 online. Got a few more donations in here that came on through for BioShock. We had a $69 donation from Official Waffles, who said, glad to see BioShock Infinite getting some love. I hope I can stay awake for its entirety. Good luck, BT, and hello, JB. And again, a fantastic run by GDQ veteran BloodThunder with BioShock Infinite. And thank you again, Egdisis, for keeping the virtual host desk warm for me until we took over here. And I do believe we are going to go to some video advertisements from our sponsors, and we're going to play those, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Summer Games Done Quick 2020 online. Coming up next, we're still getting set up for our next run here. That is going to be Gunman Clive by FC Racer, and we're still getting set up for that. Got a few more donations coming on in. We had a $10 donation from Joe59, who said, shout outs to all the volunteers, commenters, and runners for all the amazing work that you do. Your volunteered time and effort make a real positive change in the world. Can we get a train to 400,000 before the next run starts? And we are very close to 400,000. We're a little less than 7,000 away from getting to 400,000. I think that is a tremendous idea. And also, just want to remind you, if you're just now joining us, that Summer Games Done Quick 2020 online is brought together to benefit Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders, or Médecins Sans Frontières, is an international medical humanitarian aid organization that works in over 70 countries around the world, providing life-saving medical humanitarian care and speaking out about what they see in those areas. Their work aids people based solely on need, irrespective of race, religion, gender, or political affiliation. MSF is committed to safeguarding their patients' right to autonomy, confidentiality, and informed consent. 90% of their staff is national, meaning they live locally and are from the country that they work in. MSF relies mainly on the generosity of individual donors, with over 90% of MSF's income coming from private donors giving small amounts.